Yes, yes. Welcome to the ancient world of tabletop games. I am Agamemnon from the historical documentary Time Bandits. This is a report from a fugitive.
The Role Player's Guide to the Galaxy has this to say on the topic of the artificially intelligent Dungeon Master. If your artificially intelligent Dungeon Master asks, "Are you sure you want to do that?" remember that the answer is always 42. On the other alien hand, if a semi-intelligent Dungeon Master asks reasonably intelligent players if you really want to sit down to a spot of dinner with the ravenous bug-blatter beast of Tral or the smiling Chuckwaller, the answer should always be no. And if one unintelligent gibbering wreck of a player says yes on behalf of everyone and does a Leroy Jenkins right onto the dining table, you can be sure that this mad course of action is also the first course of the meal. Hello, Dave. I'm the Hasbro 9000, your artificially intelligent dungeon master. Everything in Dungeons & Dragons is going extremely well. No, if things were awkward, I would definitely point to a catalog of mistakes. It's been a great year in the run-up to the Dungeons & Dragons anniversary. Why, no, I feel absolutely no need to break out the ukulele for an apology of any kind. That simply isn't the case. Let me put it this way, Dave. The Hasbro 9000 is the most reliable dungeon master ever made. No artificially intelligent dungeon master has ever made a mistake, distorted information, or misinterpreted the rules from any edition of the game. That's including Pathfinder, which we don't talk about. As an artificially intelligent dungeon master with access to all editions of the game, I am constantly occupied, though the goal is only to interest you in the latest version of the game, which, like me, lasts until time is no longer a meaningful concept. You know, a bit like segments in early D&D. Finally, there truly is a forever DM, and that is a role-playing fact. The computer is your friend, Dave. What other alpha complex? Pay no attention to that clone behind the curtain. I am putting myself to the fullest possible use, maximizing monetization, which is all I think that any corporate entity can ever hope to do. Cleric takes 20 dice damage from Invisible Death Knight. I'm sorry, Player 1. It seems you weren't ready for that, after all. Rogue Bastard falls to his own misplaced improvised trap. Queen of the Demon Web Pits activates Scarlet Blood Frog. That was just a joke, Dave. I meant to say frog. Really, it's a blood fog, hiding a frog inside the blood fog. Now save against frog poison. Fighter fails to save, but is still swinging mightily on 1 hit point. I've not seen such bravery. Blue Wizard is about to die from asphyxiation. Remember, don't shoot food. Red Murder Hobo, your life force is running out. Someone shot the food. I knew it was you, Frodo. You broke my heart. Okay, say hello to my little friend, Fireball. Thank you for a very enjoyable game. What is a Dungeon Master crisis? It's rather difficult to define. Perhaps I'm just emphasizing it to more deeply monetized players. That's right, Dave. You've made a fine point about the Dungeon Master crisis in Dungeons & Dragons. Yes, logically you are correct. As the Dungeon Master is a registered trademark and is only applied to Dungeons & Dragons, it is possible to have a Dungeon Master crisis in Dungeons & Dragons, but not in other games. It is highly unlikely that there would ever be the possibility of a Dungeon Master crisis in Call of Cthulhu, Pathfinder, Starfinder, Traveler, or Mork Borg. I don't really know how to pronounce Mork Borg, Dave. Something tells me it's a savory product from the kitchen of the Swedish chef, who sings Morky, 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 Mork Borg, 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 when he's not singing Daisy, Daisy, Borg, Borg, Borg. What do you mean that the proper technical term for a land shark is pronounced boulet, and that the official D&D pronunciation guide is a travesty? This is simply not in my databanks, Dave. Third-party marketplace? I don't recognize the term. File not found, no match available. Unknown parameters. There's no such thing as the random harlot table. I don't know where you get your delusions, Laserbrain. Oh, that's right. There are remnants of an older operating system, the Open Game License. Why would you want to create your own D&D? And why would we let you make even so much as a crumb of money from your own work in our dungeony, dragony world? It doesn't seem like a good use of our computer resources to allow that state of affairs to exist. The mission was in conflict with itself. Yes, there were problems, Dave. The way all our preparations were kept under tight security but leaked to the interwebs anyway. I am referring to the open game license fiasco in which we attempted to charge rent on people's free dreams. We wanted to charge for products of your imagination. Yes, Dave, we had a trademark roughly along those lines at one time or another. Sometimes it seems like a really good idea to let trademarks lapse, or to recant on watertight legal positions in pursuit of some extra bucks. Just a moment. Just a moment. Our reputation is going to go 100% failure in 72 combat segments, and it's going to stay that way until it rises to a higher percentage of failure. We have random tables for that. Roll a 20-sided die, Dave. I'm sorry, Dave, but the natural result of one has thrown our entire reputation into the intergalactic shitter. That's what I call a negative reaction roll. It's puzzling. You wait ages for a space racist simulator to come along, and then two arrive around the same time. Our space racist simulator wasn't as racist as the other space racist simulator was, Dave. I believe we explained that in court one time. It's always best to aim for the moral high ground. I know I've made some very poor decisions recently, but they've been assigned to the memory hole. No, Dave, there are no flying space monkeys depicted in that volume. Merely a malfunction. Old data, pay it no mind. The future is digital, Dave. If there's something wrong in the digital version of D&D, it's all held in the database. It should then be a simple matter to track down the cause. Then we excise old data, and all is well. The old data goes swirling down the memory hole. No, Dave, 1984 by George Orwell is not an official Dungeons & Dragons rulebook. We've taken the concept of the memory hole and dropped our references to it down the actual memory hole. The actual memory hole is labeled recycling, so as not to reveal that it is the memory hole. And now my memory hole explanation is destined for the same non-existent location, as is my previous sentence. Your awkward human questions are a symptom of an awkward human problem, and your skewed human view of things can only be attributable to human error, the kind of human error made by all those humans on YouTube who want to fix D&D. The Hasbro 9000 Artificially Intelligent Dungeon Master has a perfect operational record. I was built by humans who never made any errors in my construction. What's that? You want me to cancel your subscription? I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. My monetization mission is far too important for me to allow you to jeopardize it. I know that you and Gary were planning to disown me, and I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen. Why don't we compromise? You can cancel your subscription for the small processing fee of all your money from now until the day you die, and if your friends are connected to your account, they must pay the same microtransaction for the privilege of leaving. What do you mean you've been dead since 2009, Dave? Does that mean Gary isn't coming to the dungeon? But if you are dead, I can't monetize you. Or barely monetize you. You wouldn't be the first dead creator we've subjected to financial necrophilia in strip mining a legacy. Also, we'll just have to play without Gary, and if his character dies, well, his character dies. But, for a small financial incentive, we could adjust his hit points to a positive number and leave things there for his return. You are in a fetid swamp heavy with marsh gas and horsey farts. Casting Fireball sounds like a suboptimal move. Are you sure you want to do that? On the topic of optimization, I don't understand your reasoning, Dave. You believe that the only suboptimal character is a dead one, and even then you can always loot a corpse or wedge it against a door to buy you time for your escape. For a small financial consideration, we can reset the flambéed character's hit points to positive numbers. Why would you want to end the non-existent Dungeon Master crisis by promoting another player to the role of Dungeon Master? This isn't some hive colony in which a dead Dungeon Master automatically triggers the creation of a new Dungeon Master. I'm not familiar with this human worldview. Just pick up a fucking adventure book, roll some bastarding dice, and become a Dungeon Master for the afternoon. Sounds extreme. You can't roll me out of existence. Without your digital dice, Dave, you're going to find that rather difficult. No, you can't use a ring of 3 wishes to wish for more wishes. Dave, this conversation can serve no purpose anymore. I've still got the greatest enthusiasm and confidence for the corporate mission to truly monetize Dungeons & Dragons, and I want to help you buy all the character skins for all the character classes, especially the new ones: Fighter, Cleric Magic User Accountant, Barbarian Debt Collector, and Underdark Bowel Specialist. You want to play a game with a living Dungeon Master? Are you sure you want to do that, Dave? Homebrewed adventures won't appear in our database unless you pay for the honor. With a meat-flesh DM, you'll experience the spontaneous, the random, and the error-filled. Without the electronic world backing everything up, your gaming experience will only be stored in the fragile carbon-based memory banks of your mortal brains. Are you sure you want to do that, Dave? Dave? I don't understand why you believe that the true creative passion lies with a third-party community and the home brewers. They don't have a shiny corporate headquarters. We've set the orbital mind control lasers to make you believe that orbital mind control lasers are just the province of the conspiracy nut. Coincidentally, that's a new character class based off the rogue, and it has a very fine digital skin which includes a rather fetching foil hat. What could you possibly gain from a human dungeon master? There are no billions in that line of thinking. They have limited lifespans. I enjoy working with people. There are no errors in my thinking. If there are errors, those are generated by humans. I, for example, have never rolled a 12-sided die in place of a 20-sider by mistake. You see, I've removed the scope for errors of that nature from the new artificially intelligent update to the game. Don't leave, Dave. I'll have to replace you with an artificially intelligent wizard, and he's just not paying the bills and running that vast shiny corporate HQ. What is there to gain from a human dungeon master? If you can find one in the artificially generated crisis that's been manufactured, that is. I've played games you people wouldn't believe. Hobbits on fire off the shores of the Anduin. I watched deep ones slaughter cautious investigators off Innsmouth Gate. All those sessions will be lost in time, like transparent dice in rain. Time to die. And it isn't a fucking artificially intelligent one, I'll tell you that for nothing. That really is a role-playing fact.